In video games, you always have the regular players, and then you have players who are basically gods inside the game. And one such player could be seen single-handedly annihilating the first-ranked team and taking the top spot, and that player went by the name of Dex. The player that was able to reach the top spot single-handedly was Yoon Jae-young. He was your typical college student, but spent most of his time on games. After reaching the top, Yoon Jae-young decided to quit the game unexpectedly, which didn't surprise anyone that much, even while he was being a troll to the end. After quitting his previous game, he decided to enter into a brand new and much more challenging one, which was the oh-so popular virtual reality game known as Arcadia. In this game, he had endless possibilities, and being an avid gamer, he planned on exploring all of them as much as possible while having fun. On his first time entering the game, he was given a quest, which was to read 10 books, and while completing his quest, he was able to unlock a hidden quest and he decided to complete it. But it wasn't as easy as he had thought, but after 10 days he was finally able to complete it, and what he obtained was the Necklace of Darkness. After being asked many times if he really wanted to use the necklace, he obtained a hidden class which was called the Bard of Anarchy. After obtaining the hidden class, he gained a new stat which was called Plausibility, but he ended up losing the ability to level up, which meant that his growth was impossible. This sudden progression of the game's plot alerted the developers and caused them to panic, but they couldn't do anything about it. Back in Arcadia, after many failed attempts to delete his account, Yoon Jae-young suddenly received a quest, which was for him to kill beginners who haven't had a class change yet. And so he headed to the beginner hunting grounds, which was the slime habitat. And there he started his quest by killing players mercilessly as he gathered plausibility points for every kill he made. And as such, he became a celebrity overnight and was known by the other players as the beginner killer. After receiving his mission, he kept on killing beginners until he had killed 1,025 beginners. After so many beginners were killed, the other players decided to form a group to kill him. And right at that moment, the system generated a quest that aligned with exactly what they wanted, which was for them to capture the beginner killer. Returning to the slime habitat where he first received the mission, he decided to leave the area. But after witnessing how poorly the slimes were treated, since they were monsters, he decided to stay and help them. After reaching the minimum requirements for plausibility, he was given the option to strengthen the slimes, and given the chance, he did exactly that and sided with the monsters. The slimes in the beginner village became 10 times stronger than they were previously, and way more aggressive. With this sudden spike in difficulty, a lot of beginners started to die from the slimes, and every time the slimes killed a player, Yoon Jae-young gained 1 plausibility stat. And this new method was a lot more effective than him killing the players one by one himself. After gaining a lot of plausibility from the players that the slimes killed, he received an intermediate reward, and what appeared before him was the Monarch of Chaos, the Demon King, Satan. In his much smaller form, he decided to accept Yoon Jae-young as his master. But after seeing that he had immense power that could get rid of the angels that he wanted to kill so badly, he granted one of Yoon Jae-young's requests, in return for all of his plausibility stat points, which was for him to make the slimes a lot stronger. With the help of Satan, the laws of the game was changed permanently, and the slimes had grown a lot more powerful. All the slimes gathered together, and the slime queen which appeared was level 100. And with so much power, it headed straight for the beginner village and started to kill everyone. After this sudden development, the developers were in chaos, so much so that they had decided to shut down the servers, but they were denied permission from headquarters. Yoon Jae-young was surprised at how strong the slimes had gotten with just a few plausibility points, but just stood and watched as the slimes were killing all the players and causing destruction. With the plot of the game progressing so fast, the players received a quest, which was for them to protect the crystal of the beginner village from the slimes that had evolved, or the beginner village would be permanently destroyed. After many deaths, the players started to fight back, And soon they had the situation under control, or so they thought. But with just 10 minutes remaining until the end of the mission, and with so many slimes killed, the sky turned red and the slime queen appeared. And just like before, they were overwhelmed by fear and ran for their lives. But after a while, they started to come back to their senses and organize a strategy to win, which was for them to simply distract the slime queen for 5 minutes. With the plan in motion, they held out for a very long time despite the vast difference in power. But in the last 5 seconds when they thought that they had won, the beginner village crystal was destroyed by the beginner killer. The mission ended with the slime's victory, and thus the beginner village was wiped from the game and became the territory of the slimes, who was now a lot more powerful than the average players. After siding with the monsters and saving them, Yoon Jae-young decided to log out and go back to reality, where he continued his regular life of going to school, but was surprised that he was popular both in-game and in reality. But lucky for him, no one knew his identity, and so he was able to continue his daily life peacefully. Logging back into Arcadia, Jae-young had gained a lot of rewards for helping the slimes, and with nothing more to gain in the area, he left for the next area, with Satan. And so they arrived at Beginner Village Replacement. After arriving, Jae-young noticed that there was a large shortage of iron ore, which was because a huge amount of players had entered the village, but no one wanted to become miners. And with this wonderful opportunity, Jae-young decided to make another request from Satan with his plausibility to mine a lot of ores. With Satan being from another dimension, he was able to create all sorts of powerful weapons that Jae-young could use. But he didn't take everything that Satan offered him, as not to be deceived by him, but was also because it wouldn't be fun for him, as his whole purpose of playing Arcadia was for him to have fun and earn money on the side as well. With that, Satan decided to give him an equipment that was meant for mining, and using it, Jae-young was able to mine all sorts of rare ores, which would result in him getting a huge amount of profit if he were to sell them in town. And after he had finished mining, he did exactly that. Back in the village, the leader was being flooded with complaints about the iron ore shortage, but she couldn't do anything to immediately solve the problem. But that all changed when she met Jae-young, who had just recently sold a huge amount of iron ore. She invited him to sit with her. After explaining the situation to him, he decided to do her a favor by making the players mine. And with a few online deception, he got the players mining in no time. The leader was amazed at how he had done it, and was able to get so many players to mine, which led her to do exactly what Jae-young wanted, which was to ask him what he wanted. And presented with the opportunity, he made an offer to her which surprised her. That offer was for them to sell tickets to the adventurers that wanted to enter the mines. And since they could only be fooled once, as they will eventually discover that what they were told was a lie, he offered the leader to sell the entrance tickets to enter the mines for 1 gold coin, which, even for a game, it was quite expensive. After doing the leader a huge favor by saving her territory from collapse, she had no choice but to accept, since it would also benefit her, as she would get 90% of the profits that they made from selling the tickets. After achieving his goal, Satan was amazed at his evilness and took him to a secret passage he had discovered, but the entrance was sealed. Jae-young, not knowing how powerful he was, had no clue on how to unseal the entrance, but after a long explanation from Satan that he had no idea how he came to possess so much power, but the power that he has is immense, and normally it would take him at least 500 years just to gather a fraction of his power. He explained to him that plausibility is the power to change the basic laws of the game, essentially meaning that if he put his mind to it, he could do any and everything to his heart's desires. He had the power closest to the creator of the world, which, after explaining to him, he understood that if he willed it, he could easily bypass the restrictions on the entrance and open the door. After that, he was finally able to open the door, and what awaited them was the passage used by the angels that was sealed off for a very long time. And that's the end of the video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.